Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stardom Cast. This is a podcast. We talk about all things about the fantastic wrestling promotion that is Stardom, and we do it in a positive and what I like to think a fun manner. I am your host, Matt Turner, and folks, as of this recording, we are just a few hours removed from what I truly believe is the show of the year, the finals of this year's 5-star Grand Prix. Not only to me was the finals the show of the year in wrestling altogether, but if I had to make a list of the top 10 tournaments in wrestling in the last 30 years, whether it be All Japan, New Japan, Stardom, WWE, WCW, NWA, what have you, this show would definitely make the top 10 list at this tournament. Absolutely unbelievable. So what we're going to do is, and I made mention on the podcast that just dropped yesterday as of this recording, that I'm going to be doing a quick review. This will probably go up again. I'm recording this Saturday, literally 10 a.m. The Stardom show got over with a little bit after 6. I'm going to be recording this, send it off to the main man, Sean Montrose. Double thumbs up for all the hard work he's been doing. This should be in your feeds either Sunday or Monday. So first of all, let's give a standing ovation to our editor-in-chief, Sean Montrose. Not only is he making his managerial debut tonight with me and Stroudsburg for Frontier Professional Wrestling, but the work that he's been doing on this show, unbelievable. He got out the Julia podcast. Then less than 24 hours later, he got the weekly podcast. I made him aware, hey, buddy, can we get out this emergency podcast? Well, not emergency, but this podcast quick because I want to capitalize on the fantastic show that was the 5-star final Grand Prix. It's like, absolutely, I can get up in a day or two. And then on Monday morning in your feeds, you will have, for the Red Belt tier Patreon, you will have the watch-along between Mayu and Utami from the finals 4 years ago, 2018. So the guy just does tremendous work. Plus, he's an A-plus husband, A-plus father. He does a lot of other side jobs and his regular job. And I think he may sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. I don't know that. And he's a fantasy football expert. So before we dive into it, because we got a lot to talk about, because I'm going to be reviewing not only the finals, but obviously I have to review Night 19. Oh boy, it's been a long few hours, but a good one. I'm going to briefly review Stardom and Showcase, just because I do want to go through that. I'm just going to go through the matches real quick. I'll do a little more in-depth review of the 2 5-star matches, and then of course the main event of this show will be the review from the final night of the 5-star Grand Prix. But before we get into it, I just want to send my condolences and thoughts to the passing of Japanese professional wrestling legend Antonio Inoki. Tony Inoki is definitely somebody who changed the game for not only Japanese wrestling, just wrestling in general. You know, you could always make an argument on like who the best wrestlers of all time are. I get asked a lot who I think is the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time. And at different days, you'll get different answers. I guess, like, if I had to really pick somebody, I'd say Mitsuharu Misawa. But as far as who's the biggest star in the history of Japanese wrestling, to me, it's Antonio Inoki. I mean, what he's done building New Japan, that match he had with Muhammad Ali, granted, it wasn't the greatest of matches, but he had it's almost the first mixed martial arts fight with Muhammad Ali. And if you're just never even sure or haven't seen much of Inoki or how over he was, go back and watch his retirement match. I don't know. I should have wrote it down. His retirement match, it took place in the Tokyo Dome against Don Frye, the Predator Don Frye, MMA legend, one of my favorite fighters of all time. And I think it was, I'm pretty sure, I read Chris Charlton's Eggshell book so many times, which he documents every single Tokyo Dome show from the first show up until maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And I think it's the highest attended professional wrestling show in the Tokyo Dome. And Don Frye had to win a tournament to wrestle Anoki in his final match, which was the main event. I think there was like 70,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. That's my favorite building to watch wrestling. I'm just a huge fan of the Wrestle Kingdoms and the All Japan shows that happened there. And obviously, the 2 Noah shows that happened there as well. I just absolutely love that building. Literally number 1 on my bucket list of professional wrestling things to do is to go to a show in the Tokyo Dome. Hey, Stardom, if you put on a show in the Tokyo Dome, I will take my money and fly to Japan. Just give me a year in advance notice so I can try to learn how to speak Japanese. Anywho, the match is only like 6 or 7 minutes. And they said Anoki went on the match really, really banged up, really, really injured. And like literally the match is like Don Fry beating up Anoki, Anoki making a little bit of a comeback. When Anoki makes his little bits of the comeback, the crowd's going ballistic. And the finish of the match is, not to spoil it, but I mean, you're talking about a match that's like 30 years old. Like Anoki hits the Insaguri, the place goes ballistic. He locks Don Fry into the Cobra Twist. And when Don Fry taps out or quits, I forget which one it was, but the place just goes nuts. Like we've seen, there's been so many phenomenal game-changing matches that have taken place in the main event of the Tokyo Dome. You know, all the Okada stuff, the Omega stuff, the Tanahashi stuff. You know, the Kabashi versus Sasuke, Kensei Sasaki matches. There's been so many phenomenal matches that have taken place in the Tokyo Dome, especially in that main event position. You know, Okada, Bushi. I can go on and on, but I don't think any one of those matches had the reaction that Anoki and Don Fry did. And again, it went like 7 minutes. So rest in peace to an absolute legend, Antonio Inoki. You will live on forever. And thank you for inventing strong style professional wrestling. God bless you, sir. Okay, let's get into the Stardom cast. Night 19. We are going to go and get to bear with me, folks. Literally, I've been up since 1:45 in the morning. As soon as the show was over, I took a 20-minute nap, and then I went to the gym for 2 hours because I'm nuts. So, hey, that just goes to show you got to prioritize your time, you know, and you can do whatever you want. But let's fire through this, shall we? Okay, so we go to the 24th of September, night 19. First match is the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Hina taking on the Oedo Tai team of Rina and Ruaka. A really good match here. A really good solid opener. Only went 6 minutes, 50 seconds. The sisters, Rina and Hina, really good chemistry together. I hope somewhere down the line they have a little bit of a feud. And then they wind up teaming together because we've seen them team together on that, I think it was the New Blood show. One of the New Blood shows, and they had great chemistry together. Or was that Hina? I forget. Anywho, another story, another day. But Hina escapes the Pink Devil and rolls up her sister with the Ghetto Clutch 3 stars. Okay, we go to Blue Stars block action. Our first tournament match of the evening. We have Mina Shirakawa absolutely just dominating this tournament as far as an improved wrestler standing goes. Coming in with 8 points, going up against Hana, coming in with 0. Hana starts out fast and furious, as she has been known to do these last few matches. Throws a pair of drop kicks and a judo throw. Mina stops Hana with the low Muda drop kick, goes to work on that knee, and then instead of going to the figure 4, she goes to the Liger surfboard. So we've seen her just being a huge, big fan of Jushin Liger. When Liger did commentary on a show a couple of months ago, after the Cosmic Angels were victorious, you could see that that Mina Shirakawa welled up in tears with the being next to Jushin Thunder Liger. So again, if you're gonna steal your stuff off the best. If Mina's doing a great job and she's making it her own. Mina floors Hana with a big forearm, but Hana comes back with. She halts the onslaught with a judo throw and an armbar attempt. Hana then hits the Iron Cross Northern Light suplex for 2. I love it how she does that move. Crowd is getting really both behind both ladies, really 50-50 for both Mina and Hana. Mina goes back to Hana's knee, try to set up for the figure 4, but Hana escapes, hits the Hana special and the rocker dropper for 2. Hana goes for the backdrop driver. Mina rolls through and she hits a dragon screw leg whip. Mina attempts the figure 4 again, but Hana winds up evading. Back and forth they go with some close flash pins. And then Hana rolls up Mina Shirakawa at 6 minutes 40 seconds with the double arm roll up that she calls the 17. So if really good finish there. I really enjoyed the how she got into that roll up. And that was the roll up that almost beat Starlight Kid in their Artists of Stardom Championship match just a few weeks ago. So if Stardom is smart, maybe they get Winger to play Hana out, even though she's 18. But hey, she's only 17 roll up there. So I really enjoyed a match, 3 3/4 stars, as you see Hana getting her first 2 points, halting Mina Shirakawa, coming off that big win over Saya Kamatani, and then they kind of just bring her right back down to earth with a win over Hana. So, but Mina looked great in that match. We move on to the second match of the tournament, third match of the night. We go over to the Red Stars block as we have Momo Kogo coming in with 2 points, taking on Maika, coming with 14 points. Maika gets a win here, pretty much almost a breeze for her to get to the finals on the final night. So we know what will probably happen. Expect the unexpected. Momo tries for a quick roll-up right off the handshake, trying to be a little sneaky. Maika uses their size and strength advantage early on, just really dominating Maika. And anytime that Momo Kogo gets any bit of distance, she's so desperate to try to get a flash pin, a roll-up, or an O'Connor roll or a schoolboy or really anything. It's really her only offense here, as the majority of the matches, Mike is just dominating. Momo winds up hitting the springboard dropkick, and then excuse me, she hits the 619. She goes for the springboard dropkick. I thought this was a cool spot, but as she's on the top rope, Micah just catches her and hits the stalling suplex. I thought it was a really, really good spot. Micah hits the discus lariat, and she goes for the Mijinoko driver, but as she picks Momo Kogo up, Momo catches her in the Hurricane Rana, 5 minutes, 27 seconds to get her second win of the tournament. One of the biggest upsets of the tournament. I really liked that finish. I thought that was a really cool spot. 3.5 stars, and gets Momo Kogo not only a win, but a big win over somebody's got who was leading the block coming into this semifinal night. We go into match number 4 as Saya Ida coming with 4 points, taking on Starlight Kid, coming in with 12 points. This is a Blue Stars block action. Saya sets the pace really early on with the never-ending chops. Starlight Kid winds up firing back with some solid forearms. The two lock wrists, and they seem to have a forearm fest that goes on forever that I did not get sick of. These two are really laying into each other. Saya Ida gets the advantage by hitting some big shoulder tackles and some big lariats. And then Saya Ida goes for the trademark brainbuster. Starlight Kid escapes, locks in the Black Tiger leg crusher submission. Saya Ida gets the ropes, but Starlight Kid stays on top, stays aggressive, hits the shotgun knees and the twisting frog splash for 2. Ida comes back, it's a big lariat, and then when Ida goes for another lariat, going to the well once too often, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, as she gets scooped up into the Black Tiger driver just under 8 minutes. This is another solid match, 3.5 stars, taking Starlight Kid up to 14 points. We move on to match number 5, match number 4 of the tournament. We stay at the Blue Stars block as we have Ami Sourei coming in with 10, taking on Suzu Suzuki, who's on an absolute roll here. She's coming in with 10 points as well. After some back and forth chain wrestling, Ami Sourei goes to the half crab early on to try to wear down Suzu Suzuki. Suzu Suzuki starts building some advantage with the Joshi dropkick. Shout out Shane Hagedorn, Ring of Honor forever, and some forearms. Suzu avoids some Ami Sourei chops, and then Suzu invites Ami Sourei to chop her, which was not a good idea. Ami takes her up on the offer. She hits a chop flurry and then a DVD, and then she goes back to the Boston Crab, except this time it's the high angle Boston Crab. Ami Sourei escapes the tequila shot, hits a big lariat and the blue thunder bomb for 2, and then Ami tries to put her away with the Leica Thunderbolt. Suzu avoids. She hits a release German suplex and the tequila shot for 2, and then she quickly counters up on the damage that she's done on Ami's back and neck. She's another stalling German suplex for the win. 3 3/4 stars. This one got done 10.5 minutes. These two had really, really good chemistry together. Again, Suzu Suzuki's, she's got that death match background, so they enjoy pain. So her inviting Ami Sourei to do the chops. And then, of course, Ami Sourei's like, sure, of course I'm going to take you up on that offer. I thought that was a really, really cool spot. And then just Suzu blitzing Ami at the very end with all the head dumps. I thought it was a great way to end this match and to break the tie between the two. So that pulls Suzu up to 12 points. We switch over to the Red Stars block as we have Himika coming in with 12 points, taking on Unagi. Poor Unagi only coming in with 2 points, but having some really good matches here the last 4 or 5 shows. I think that they're going to build Unagi back up pretty well in the tag tournament. I think her and Mina are going to go on a heck of a run in the Goddess of Stardom tournament. Fingers crossed, because I'm such a huge fan of the team that is Pink Kabuki. Unagi jumps Himika right early on and locks in a Fujiwara armbar. Big fan of the Fujiwara armbar, so I never seen Unagi do that. So I thought that was a really cool spot. Unagi stays aggressive with strikes and constant pressure on Himika's arm. Makes sense. You want to take away the power and those lariats. Unagi hits a face buster and then floats over into a double armbar. You get more submissions from Unagi. Always gets a thumb up from me. Himika ends up deadlifting Unagi up, hits a JP coaster to create some separation. She hits a series of short arm lariats and then follows up with a clothesline to the back of Unagi's head and then hits the concussion bomb right around the 9-minute mark. 3.5 stars. Again, I really liked Unagi going to some more submissions, submission-based, and she looked really good there, and Himika did a really good job feeding and selling for those submissions, but it was not enough as the lariats and concussion bomb take the Cosmic Angel down. We go over Blue Stars block action. Mayu Iwatani taking on Momo Watanabe, the match that I was looking forward to the most, even though we've seen these two have about a dozen or so matches together. And they always seem to be linked up in the 5-star Grand Prix. You know, it's just like, I guess, Death Taxes and Momo Watanabe versus Mayu Iwatani in the 5-star. By no means am I complaining. You know, give me more. Momo jumps Mayu as soon as the match starts, and we have an outside brawl. The two of them go back and forth on the outside, and then they wind up going into the ring. They find their way back to the ring, and then Mayu tries to strike with Momo. That's a big mistake. As good as a striker as Mayu is, you're going up against one of the best strikers in the company. Momo winds up picking apart poor Mayu with kicks, and then eventually, as Momo's really beating down Mayu, she tries to bring the wrench in, and the referee doesn't get distracted long enough, as we see Momo Watanabe doing the Eddie Guerrero spot with the wrench as she threw it to Mayu. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Mayu sold it. I mean, there's nobody better selling than Mayu. God bless her. Mayu sold the thing, you know, where she almost got disqualified because supposedly she had the wrench. I believe she got disqualified in a match last year against Fukian Death with something very, very similar. I think with a chair. They kind of were playing off that a little bit from last year's tournament. Mayu comes back with the dropkick face wash combination and hits the second rope double stomp for 2. Mayu sets up for the dragon suplex, but Momo escapes and hits a big head kick. And then Mayu just quickly shakes it off, hits a super kick that floors Momo, and then she goes to the top rope for that fantastic and underrated frog splash. A lot of Eddie Guerrero stuff in this match. She hits the frog splash for 2. Eventually, Momo winds up hitting a series of head kicks. And then she hits the Tequila Sunrise and the Meteor combination for 2. She locks in the crossface chicken wing and then floats it over into the B driver for 2. Momo hits a brutal head kick, and then she puts the wrench in her knee pad. But as she's putting the wrench in her knee pad, when she turns around, she eats a super kick and then a drop kick that sends Momo to the outside. Mayu attempts her signature suicide dive to the outside, but Momo throws a chair to cut Mayu off. Momo hits the bastard driver and then locks in the crossface chicken wing. Mayu winds up fighting out of the then as Momo has her in the crossface chicken wing, she goes to set her up for the Peach Sunrise, which is a classic combination from Momo Watanabe. Mayu fights out of the Peach Sunrise, but he winds up eating a head kick with the keep in mind the wrench is in the kick pad, and then a brutal punk kick with the wrench, and then Momo finishes Mayu off with the Peach Thunder at 11 minutes, 32 seconds, 4.25 stars. They've had better matches, but again, 4.25 stars. Absolutely fantastic. I thought this was another great match in the series that is Mayu versus Momo. Maybe somewhere down the line for the Patreon members, maybe I'll do a series where I basically go through the feud of Mayu and Momo, because I don't think not enough people really know about just the classic matches that these two have. And this is another one. This is another instant classic. That takes Momo up to double digits. So after she was losing some matches, I didn't think she was going to lose. You know, she got the win over Julia. She gets the win over Mayu here, pulling up to double digits. We go to the main event of this show as we have Utami Hayashishita coming in with 12 points, taking on Tam Nakano with 14 points. Red Stars block action. This was a match that a lot of people had these two. Majority of people had Julia winning the Blue Stars, and then a lot of people were kind of split, Utami and Tam. I personally had Utami going to the finals, and this was a must-win for Utami, because if Utami loses this match, not only is she down 4 points, but then she also loses the tiebreaker to Tam as well. So she's almost down 3 with just one match to go. So obviously a must-win match for the former champion. And Utami, not only former World of Stardom champion, but a former 5-star Grand Prix champion. So how does she beat Tam? What's the strategy in a must-win match? How about you singing your opponent's theme song as they're coming to the ring? You want to talk about mind games. I thought that was funny. And as Tam gets in the ring and she does her apron pose, you can just see how pissed she is. She seems so mad, like Julia mad at her. I thought that was good. And I was like, boy, they really can plant the seeds for a really big feud between the two of these, coming towards the end of this year. I thought that was good. As soon as the bell rings, Tam's playing no game. She's pissed off. She comes at Utami with the big boot and a backdrop driver that sends the Red Queen the outside. Utami tries to go after Tam's arm on the outside, but Tam counters Utami's onslaught with a knee strike and a dive to the outside. Tam hits a spin kick, German suplex combination, but Utami fights up, fighting spirit. going through the legend that is Antonio Inoki, going through the fighting spirit. They wind up trading suplexes back and forth. At the end of the suplex chain, they slow it down and calm it down. But the one thing that isn't calmed down is the crowd, because this is where the crowds are really, really high, not only for this match, for this show, because right now it's 50-50. Tam winds up locking in the octopus stretch, but Utami deadlifts her out of it and hits an air raid crash for 2. That was a really cool spot. Tam comes back with the tiger suplex, a violent shooting combination. Big forearm exchange in the middle of the ring between the two leaders of their factions. Tam tries to put Utami away with a violent screwdriver, but Utami slips out, hits a pair of lariats for 2. Then she hits the torture rack bomb for 2, and then she quickly follows up with a hijack bomb for the win, blitzing Tam that lasts like 45 seconds with just after the lariats to the neck, just bump after bump after bump. Gets it done just under 9 minutes, over 9 minutes, which, considering the fact that they went to a 10-minute time limit draw at their Cinderella match, I thought they would have went a little bit longer here. But regardless, this was all killer, no filler. 4.25 stars. An excellent match between these two. And that takes Utami not only up to 14 points, but then would have the tiebreaker advantage over Tam. We move on to... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the main event. Jeez. Again, I'm running on very little sleep here. That's A-okay. We move on to the co-main event of the evening, which was the main event of the 5-star. We have Julia coming in with 13 points, taking on Saya Kamatani with 13 points. So you have an odds-on favorite to win the Blue Stars block in Julia, and then you have, which a lot of people are saying, is the wrestler of the year, Saya Kamatani, the Wonder of Stardom champion, coming in with 13 points. Really great technical wrestling between the two, just to kind of slow everything down and then build it back up. Julia starts working on Saya's back, locks in the STF, and then she hits the Hangman's neck breaker on the apron. Saya rebounds with a Northern Light suplex on the floor and then follows up with her signature springboard crossbody for 2. I've never seen her hit that where it's not 100%. Like, it's just so beautiful and so flawless. Saya Kamatani is so technically sound, and everything she does just looks fantastic and just makes sense. And she's only wrestling 3 years. Unbelievable. Julia hits a German suplex and then locks in the octopus stretch to kind of keep the pressure on Saya's back and her neck. Julia hits the top rope butterfly suplex for 2. Saya fights back with the spin kick and then a pump kick. Big forearm exchange between the two. We've seen a lot of forearm exchanges in the middle of the ring in this tournament. And by no means am I complaining about it. As long as it's done well, the psychology makes sense, I'm all for it. Do it every match. I don't care. Julia winds up winning when she just absolutely floors the champ with a bunch of stiff forearms and hits one big one. Saya comes back with a series of kicks, and then she winds up setting up Julia for the Star Crusher, but Julia turns the Star Crusher into a Falcon Arrow for 2. We get some flash falls back and forth, as you never know we're going to get a flash pin in this tournament. Saya Kamatani goes for the backslide. In the words of Bobby Heenan, drop to your knees so you can't take him down. And that's what Saya does, and she hits the kick at Goye and then floats her right into the Star Crusher. She goes for the 450, but as she comes down, Julia catches Saya Kamatani in the triangle choke. That was really, really cool spot. She didn't get as flawless as she want, but she eventually got there, and I thought that's a really, really cool spot. Saya gets to the ropes, but Julia winds up hitting the backdrop driver. She locks in an Indian deathlock and then does the Shibata-style headbutt into the guillotine choke as Saya Kamatani passes out. This was fantastic. This one almost went the time limit. 14 minutes, 49 seconds, 4.5 stars, taking Julia up to the leader of the block after starting out 0-2, taking her to 15 points. We move on to the main event of this evening, high-speed championship match, as Zoomy will defend her championship against Fukin Death and the lady with the most title wins in the high-speed division, Hazuki. And I'm a big fan of Hazuki's new championship gear look, like that aqua blue. And then she comes out with like the pastel robe. I think that kimono. I think she just looks absolutely fantastic. And she just comes out looking like it's just a huge star. And speaking of star, I didn't make mention enough the video wall for this, the Rossi trauma was fantastic, especially Zoomy's interest with the purple. It looks like you're on like a roller coaster and like you're speeding. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that it just made Zoomy come off even as a bigger star that she has this year. And Hazuki, considering the fact that about a year ago she was in retirement, and this year she's just having just a fantastic year. Most of people's MVP for this tournament, and somebody that really upped her game. Like, she was flirting with the main event position going into this tournament, to me, you can put her right up there with Utami. You can put her right up there with Suri, Julia, Mayu, as a constant main eventer. I mean, Hazuki is she just oozes charisma and star power. So I don't have too many notes in this match just because if you've seen the match, I don't even know what to write. This was fast and furious. It's a spot fest early on, which it has to be. I mean, they're just kind of going back and forth. Everything is crisp. Everything looks good. Hazuki hits a big dive. Zoomy might be the best high-speed wrestler ever. That's the one note I have here kind of in the middle. She's just so good. Everything, her timing, everything is good. She knows when to pick it up, when to slow it down, when to put pressure, when she does the arm stuff. That was great. Fukin Death really brought her A game here as well. Death hits a spin kick into a perfect code red on Hazuki. Zoomy locks in the numero uno on Hazuki, but Fukin Death rolls Zoomy up for a near fall. Zoomy and Hazuki trade blows. I want to see that match. Yes, please. Azumi Sushi on Hazuki for 2. Lamiska gets countered into a Hazuki straw cradle for 2. Azumi reverses an Okana roll on Fukin Death into the double Azumi Sushi for the win. This one got done 7 minutes 41 seconds, 4.25 stars. And then Hazuki gives Azumi her blessing to break the high-speed title defense record. I think this is a belt they need to leave on Azumi for a long time. I think everything is just too jumbled up in the white belt and red belt scene. Azumi, as of today, happy birthday, just turned 20. No need to rush her. Keep the high-speed belt on her. Keep giving her challengers. Keep building other challengers up for her, which is kind of what they did in this 5-star tournament. All the losses she had all came off like high-speed. You know, a lot of it was like high-speed stuff. So you built up a few challengers for the belt. Keep that belt on her for, another year or so. I mean, I'm just not... You're all jumbled up in the two divisions. You can. I mean, Azumi can challenge for any belt. She's so good. But why take the luster off that belt that she's been doing such a great job building it up this entire year? So, absolutely. I think Azumi will definitely break Hazuki's record for most title defenses. Stardom Showcase of Volume 2, Electric Boogaloo. Like I said, I'm going to go through the 2 5-star matches and then just do a quick review of the rest of the show. Just for time constraints. And if there's any match that you want to talk about in depth or you want my opinion on, shoot me a line, guys. I try to answer everybody back as soon as possible. Matt Turner OF on the Twitter and the Instagram as well. Okay, this show took place the very next night on the 25th of September. And from what I understand, this show had like 80 more people than the 5-star show, which is crazy. It just shows you that this Stardom Showcase stuff is, some of the stuff as zany as it is, it's drawn and it's not going to go anywhere. If it's making the company money, it's not going to go anywhere. And they just seem like super fun shows. First match, Hana. Blue Stars block match action. Hana coming in with 2 points, taking on Saya Ida with 4 points. This is Hana's last tournament match. Ida does a great job working the headlock early on the younger Hana. Forearm exchange between the two. Big fan of Saya Ida, the way she builds up and the way she does that top rope shoulder tackle. She's doing a great job in this tournament getting that one move over. Ida escapes the 17 roll-up, and then Hana escapes the Idabashi. I thought that was cool how they both did like foot trips, and they tried to get their quick near falls in, but they were able to get out of it. Hana special for 2, and then Hana hits the pumping knee, and then a backdrop hold. Like she always does the backdrop driver, but she like held it there like Yuji Nagata. I thought that was really, really cool. She gets the win, 3.25 stars. And Hana ends her tournament at 4 points. I thought Hana was an end at a 0. She's been having just phenomenal matches. And if she ended at a 0, she would still come out of this on the positive. Because like I always say, it's not who goes over, it's who gets over. And Hana has gotten herself over in every single match. So nice to see that she gets 2 wins back to back to end what I thought was an absolute fantastic tournament for her. We go on to the next match as we have I think a lot of people agree with me, the best match of the show. I guess depends on what you like. Suzuki coming in with 12 points, taking on Starlight Kid at 14 points. This was supposed to be the match, I believe, on night 1, but Suzuki, I believe, was sick with COVID, and they had to reschedule the match, so we get it here, Stardom Showcase. The match starts off in Starlight Kid's favor as she tries a lot of the high-speed stuff. Eventually, Suzu slows it down, and then it goes into her pace as she winds up taking it to the floor. Eventually, Starlight Kid starts working on Suzu's knee to set up for the Black Tiger Leg Crusher submission. Starlight Kid hits a moonsault on the outside, And then she goes to the top rope, or throws Suzu back in. She goes for the high cross body on the inside, but she misses. Suzu Suzuki follows up with the Joshi dropkick. Shane Hagedorn, what's up? And then Suzu Suzuki hits a standing moonsault. So we have like Lucha Souza over here. Kid holds her own in a strike fest with Suzu Suzuki. Starlight Kid hits not one, not two, three standing moonsaults in a row. I thought that was a cool spot, basically showing Suzu Suzuki, hey, you can do one, great. That's fantastic. Let me do three in a row. Suzu hits a headbutt in the half and half slam combo for two. She goes for the signature German suplex, but Starlight Kid rolls through and locks in the leg crusher submission. I love how she's been transitioning to how she's been getting into that hold all sorts of different ways, but you're avoiding your opponent's big move, that stalling German suplex, and then when I get out of it, I'm locking in one of my moves. I thought that's great. She hits the lightning shot. Starlight Kid hits the lightning spiral and the twisting frog splash for two. Starlight Kid goes back to the leg crusher submission. Suzu gets to the rope. Starlight Kid just been doing a great job staying super aggressive and chaining these big moves together. Because as Suzu gets to the rope, Starlight Kid pulls her off, hits the tiger suplex for two. Starlight Kid goes to the top rope for the moonsault. She gets cut off and she gets hit with a 6-spider German suplex. Suzu follows up. She hits the tequila sunrise, the tequila shot, and then follows up with the 2 German suplex locomotion combination for the win. 4 1/4 stars. This match ruled. This match is awesome. Okay, we'll go through the rest of these matches. Match 3, Falls Count Anywhere. Mayu versus Azumi versus Ram versus Micah. This match is wild and crazy and fun. Poor Mayu gets kicked all the way down the steps. Like, I don't even know how many steps they were, but you saw all the bruises on poor Mayu. And then she had a wrestle Starlight Kid, today's show, which was a show stealer, which we'll get into in a minute. But I hope she takes like a week off. God bless her. Back in the ring, Azumi hits the La Mystica, and then she hits a double stomp from the top of the ladder, which I thought was cool. For some reason, there's a bike in this match. Micah throws the bike at everyone. Eventually, Azumi, Mayu, and Ram all pin Micah. So everybody wins but poor Micah. This was the last match that I rated this one 3.5 stars. Cosmic Rules 2. This was just like a wet t-shirt contest match. It was a little more entertaining than the first one. I thought some of the stuff with Tam and Natsupoi was funny. It was fun. It didn't overstay its welcome. I mean, you know what you're going to get into this match. You're not going to get a Funk Briscoe, Steamboat, Flair Classic, but it's fun. I mean, all 6 of these ladies are just fantastic in the ring. You could tell they look like poor Saki, just like in the first one, just did not want to be there. Did not want to be there. Kind of not her bag. Just like in the last match where everybody won with Micah, everybody won but poor Unagi, as Unagi beats up Daichi and gets DQ'd. I'm not going to rate this match. It was fun. It was entertaining while it lasted. And again, these matches they're drawing money. So there will more than likely be a Cosmic Rules 3. Hardcore match. Julia and Rina Yamashita versus Momo Watanabe and Ruaka. This is a wild brawl that saw the use of tables, chairs, chains, guitars, ladders, and boards with glasses. Oh, that's that spot with the cut open cans and glasses that Rina took. That was something. Curb stomp into the bricks that Julia did on Ruaka. That was something. Eventually, Ruaka took a lot of stuff in this match. It's kind of scratching my head why she was in it, but Ruaka was really in a good spot here. I thought she looked really good here. She winds up eating the backdrop driver from Julia for the finish. We get into the main event match where we have the Rasi Ogawa All-Star Team of World of Stardom champion Shuri and last year's 5-star winner versus the former champion and the 2020 winner, Utami versus Lady C, who I'm still waiting for them to give a little bit of a push to. Big fan of Lady C. Versus the Grim Reapers, which 2 of the Grim Reapers turned out to be Nanai Takahashi and Yuna Manasi. I've never seen Yuna wrestle before. I thought her stuff was really, really good. I know after the match, Nanai and Yuna said that they are going into tag league. Fine by me as long as they're in the same block as whoever Sherry's team with. I'm thinking Inaba and Micah and Himika, just because I think you will definitely see some hard-hitting matches. So, and Momo as well. Put Momo in that. Momo and Starlight Kid. Love to see Momo and Nanai mix it up again as they did in the Nippon Budokan Hall last year. And I think the wrong person went over. I thought Nanai and Utami, their stuff looked really, really good. I hope we get a singles match somewhere down the line, maybe at the end of the year show. Who knows? Eventually, Nanai hits the splash on the Lady C for the 1, 2, 3. And then we also find out there's a new faction with these ladies and Jazzy Gabber, all for female, called the Neo Stardom Army. And their whole goal is there's too many pretty ladies in Stardom, and they're going to come and just beat the crap out of everybody. Again, there's a lot of hard hitters in Stardom. You know, Momo, Mayu, Shuri, Julia, Micah, Himika, Amisori, Mirai. So it's like, sure, I got a lot of people were complaining about it. I know the roster's starting to get a little bit too big. At the same time, if they only come in spurts, and we're going to see Nanai in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, put them in the ring up against wrestlers that can hit hard and just let them stand and trade. I will take that all day. All day, not a problem there. And also, real quick, I just want to make mention, I forgot to last week, is that Kari, I'm sure everybody knows, Kari is now going to be in the international bracket for the IWGP Women's Championship. Again, you can kind of scratch your head and say, well, international, she's from Japan. The way that Stardom, We Are Stardom on Twitter, fantastic follow, by the way, pointed out where she's an international superstar. So that counts as being international, and I didn't see anybody complain about it. It's like, sure, no problem. So it pretty much, to me, I think it's going to be Kari that's going to win that block and then probably advance against Mayu. And something else that somebody brought up to me just yesterday was pretty much right after the podcast, the weekly podcast got releases. I believe that they said whoever leads the point advantage in the respective factions, those are going to be the wrestlers that are going to be going on to the tournament. So I think that's kind of why they kind of halted Hazuki and started giving Mayu the points. So I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be Mayu and Kari in the finals of the IWGP Women's Championship Tournament. It's predictable, but at the same time, you know, I got that. What else would you want? I mean, Kari versus Mayu. I mean, that's just money. You're trying to draw like, 15,000 people to your New Japan Stardom show, and that's going to be one of your biggest matches. So, yes, please, by all means. Okay, we move on to the main event in the of this podcast. As you can probably hear me flipping my notes beforehand. Let me get a little drink of water here. As we have 13 matches to review from this phenomenal final. 5-star Grand Prix final. Taking place October 1, Zoomy's birthday. My daughter's birthday eve. As my wife is downstairs cooking up a storm. So I will be staying out of the kitchen until time for me to leave for wrestling today. So yeah, as if I wasn't busy enough when I have wrestling tonight, which, again, by no means am I complaining. I'm a blessed man. I have seen my man, Darren Chatton, great. He helps me out so much. Sent me a message this morning, and he said it's not 100% final. So if he's wrong, please do not, beat down on him. I'll take the heat. But he did say he saw a few reports that there was over 2,500 people in attendance here. It looked jam-packed. It looked, up until they turned the lights on and you look all the way back on the further corner, there wasn't many empty seats. As always, Darren, thank you so much just for all the help and just the conversations we have just all about Stardom. Because I just love talking. I just love people in general. I love talking about wrestling to anybody. But considering the fact that we're talking about Stardom, which is my favorite thing in wrestling right now, and the fact that we're two people on two different sides of the world, I think it just speaks volume, just how awesome wrestling is. And I greatly appreciate your support. Not only your support, but just I've got so many, Marnie Shoe Exchange, Velkage, Scotty Wrestling. So many people just reach out to me and just the help that I've been getting and the positive vibes that I've been getting, positive feedback that I've been getting. Just absolutely, it makes it so easy to do this podcast. Absolutely love doing it. Okay, enough with the chitter chatter. Let's get at her. Final night or day, whatever, depends on where you were in the country. Saya Iida coming in with 4 points, going up against Mirai coming in with 13. I didn't realize they did all the Blue Stars block matches first and then all the Red Stars block matches. So I thought that was pretty unique. So you kind of had like a little bit of a breather as we were kind of bumping up, going on to the Red Stars. So, and thanks to everybody for all the Sheldon Cooper genius help, math physicist help on trying to figure out who needs to win what needs to be a draw, what needs to be a count out to get to who needs to go to the finals. Because it was a little tricky to figure out. Then as it was kind of going along, I was like, I kind of just overthought it. Anywho, Saida versus Mirai. You know what you're going to get here, and we got it. They exchange shoulder tackles in the beginning. Saida goes to the headlock to start wearing down Mirai. Notice that Saida's been using the headlock a lot to kind of wear down her opponent. I'm a big fan of that, especially the fact the way she used it when there's no daylight. Ida lariats Mirai off the apron, and the two of them have a lariat off onto the outside, and they decided we don't want to get double counted out, so if we're going to continue this lariat off, let's do it on the inside. Eventually, Mirai wins. She starts working on Ida's arm, and then she uses a bow and arrow style submission to get the tap out win. 3 3/4 stars. Mirai ending at a fantastic 15 points. The winner of the Cinderella tournament has a fantastic showing in this year's 5-star. And even though Saida only having 4 points, again, she had to qualify for the tournament. I thought she came out of everybody really came out of this tournament better than they went in. So great showing on Saida. And also, she did get a win over Hazuki. So we, again, stay in the Blue Stars block. We have Natsupoi coming in with 12 points, going up against Mina with 8 points. Now, I got up 1:45. It was so funny because I got up 1:45 to come to, and first I noticed my wife wasn't in bed. It's just so funny. And I was like, where the heck is she? So I go downstairs and she was asleep on this, and this show started at 2 o'clock my time. I'm in Pennsylvania, so Eastern Standard Time. I come downstairs, and we all have our vices. Mine, obviously, is wrestling. Hers is QVC in the Food Network. I come downstairs, and she's got QVC on. She's asleep on the couch. Well, I wake her up. I said, go upstairs. She goes, what are you doing? I said, Stardom show. So you tag out with QVC, I'll tag in with Stardom. So, and the show went on probably about 5 minutes early. And my main concern was because my internet where I live is just, it's not the best. And plus, this is a big show. And sometimes these pay-per-views, they crash the server. So there was no problem. The 5 or 10 minute pre-show, no problem in the first match. Like, okay, we're good to go. This match I had to go back and watch because it was unwatchable because the feed just kept freezing. My notes are kind of all over the place, so just bear with me because I did. As soon as the show was over, I went back and rewound. The two of them have a sit-down stare-off as they wind up trading forearms in the middle of the ring. Poi hits an early German suplex, but she tries to go to the top rope. Mina winds up cutting her off. Mina winds up using the Muda dropkick and then starts to work on Mina's knee. Mina hits a back fist that floors Natsupoi. Poi escapes the glorious driver and hits the flipping powerbomb and then a release German suplex. Mina comes back with that perfect jumping ensaguri. Natsupoi hits another German suplex for 2. Natsupoi goes to the top. That's where my notes kind of get confusing. So now, okay, so Natsupoi, when she goes to the top rope, Mina slaps the DDM out of Natsupoi. Boy, she really laid her stuff in there. And then if she hits a dragon screw from the top rope and then a few dragon screws on the ground, she goes to the figure 4 and they wind up working it for a little bit. Eventually, Natsupoi taps out. The psychology of this match was great. This was all pretty much nonstop. They started with some stiff slaps in the middle of the ring. Natsupoi tried to use her speed advantage to take apart Mina. Eventually, Mina gets a hold of Natsupoi's leg, doesn't really let it go with those 2 beautiful dragon screws in the figure 4 leg lock. As Mina Shirakawa finishes this tournament at 10 points and is a lot of people's biggest surprise of the tournament. And I've been singing Mina's praises since early on this spring. Absolutely, I don't think there's anybody that's made a bigger jump in this tournament than Mina. And Natsupoi finishes at a respectable 12. And now with Mina getting the win over a tag champ, even though they're in the same faction, you wonder now, again, how that's going to build up, assuming that Mina and Unagi Pink Kabuki will be teaming up for the Goddess of Stardom tournament. We should be seeing the, probably as early as this week, next week, today's Saturday. Well, as you listen to this, is either Sunday or Monday. But anywho, we'll probably be seeing the names of the tournament coming up soon. Blue Stars block match that I was really, really looking forward to. Hazuki, this is the 3rd match of the night. Hazuki coming up 14 points. Momo Watanabe 10 points. Momo Watanabe, as I mentioned on this podcast several times, had a successful title defense when she was the Wonder of Stardom champion against Hazuki. And she also beat Hazuki on night 2 of World Climax. So Hazuki just can't get past Momo Watanabe. And Momo's on a roll, beating Julia, beating Mayu. And Hazuki, who went 7 for 7, has lost every match since. As soon as Hazuki gets in the ring, she barely gets in the ring. Momo jumps her. She winds up punting Hazuki while Momo's on the apron. She posts Hazuki, but then Hazuki comes back with multiple brute scrapes as they get in the ring, and then Hazuki fires up and this entire crowd is all behind Hazuki. Hazuki just knew when to fire her up and what to do at the right time. Her crowd psychology in this match was just spot on. The two trade boots and kicks back and forth. Momo hits a half and half suplex to stop the onslaught of Hazuki. Hazuki rebounds and she hits the Hazuki driver. And then a forearm fest ensues. Again, I'll never get tired of it, especially with two fantastic strikers like Hazuki and Momo. Momo tries to top rope Uranagi, but Hazuki beats Momo down, and then Hazuki comes off the top rope while Momo's on the top rope, and it's a double stomp on Momo's back, and then follows up with a code breaker. The two trade boots again, back and forth. Hazuki hits the Hazuki driver of Senton, 3 Hazuki drivers in the brainbuster, and I thought, Hazuki's going to get up to 16 points. Good for her. This was a solid match, but then as the 3 count goes, Tora pulls the ref out of the ring. And I'm not a big fan of interference, but the way that, like, whenever Momo and Starlight Kid, and even when Kagetsu was part of a Oedo tie, like, the little bit of interference that they did, it wasn't insulting, or it was, like, overly done, or done right in front of the ref. So this was fine. As much as I don't like interference, the interference here was fine, and then plus it really basically shows that Hazuki had this match won. This feud is far from over. Momo hits so Hazuki goes after Tora, gets cut off on the apron. Momo hits a B driver on the apron and then hits a second one on the inside for a 2 count. She quickly locks in the crossface chicken wing. She goes for the Peach Thunder. Hazuki escapes the Peach Thunder. She hits a punk kick and a bastard driver onto the chair. Quickly they get the chair out of the ring. She hits the Peach Sunrise for 2. Momo quickly stays on Hazuki and hits the Peach Thunder. A big fan of how she's gotten the Peach Thunder over in this tournament, using it in the bigger matches to put Hazuki away. 4.5 stars. When Momo was, even up until like late last year, like no one really ever kicked out of the Peach Sunrise. It was like a Mayu thing or like EO thing. Like no one ever really kicked out of it. Now a lot of people are kicking out of it. So you've kind of used it as like a wear down hold. So what then Momo does is like, well, I'm just going to create a new like super finisher that nobody's going to kick out, and I'm going to protect it. And that's what the Peach Thunder is. I think she's done a great job. It's like now that people are kicking out of it. So sometimes, I mean, we saw the locomotion Peach Sunrise used on Julia, but I'm a big fan of how she's changing the Tequila Sunrise, the Peach Sunrise, and the Peach Thunder in. 4.5 stars. Momo, to me, the beginning of this tournament, I was kind of like, I'm a huge Momo fan. I was kind of like, I don't know, it just seems like she's a little bit off, especially with the wrench. And then the last like 5 or 6 matches have all been like spot on. Just a phenomenal tournament for Momo, and I'm going to be doing a entire wrap-up show where it's going to be dedicated just to the 5-star. And I'm going to be interested just to see where Momo is going to rank in my top 10. I know who my 1 or 2 are, but I really got to sit down and jot everything out. But more on that later. Match number 4. Momo will finish the tournament with 12 points. Poor Hazuki finishes with 14. 14 is a great number, but when you started out with 14 and really not able to get any wins, it just seems like they were so close on maybe pulling the trigger on Hazuki. I think they're going to build her back up, and I really think sometime next year she's going to be the one to end Saya Kamatani's Wonder of Stardom title reign. We stay in Blue Stars block as we have Ami Sourei coming in with 10 points. Oh, and I had that, they say 4.5 stars. Ami Sourei coming in with 10 points. Saya Kamatani, speaking of the Wonder of Stardom champion, coming in with 13. Ami tries to assert her dominance early on with chops, but Saya Kamatani uses her speed and technique to avoid the onslaught from the bigger wrestler. Ami eventually gets Saya down, locks in the high angle Boston Crab to slow Saya Kamatani down. Saya comes back with that running wheel kick and the picture perfect springboard plancha to the floor. Ami lariats. Ami gets the advantage on Saya Kamatani, and she tries the lariat, but she winds up hitting the post instead. Saya Kamatani hits a double stomp onto the apron. Back inside, Ami winds up getting the series of lariats, and then hits a third lariat that sends Saya Kamatani onto the outside. Saya Kamatani winds up hitting a Northern Light suplex and a Hurricanrana on the outside to Ami Sourei. Ami eventually gets up on Saya. She picks her up in the Samoan drop and takes her all the way to the top of the ramp where the entranceway is, hits the Finley roll on top of the ramp, and then we get a chase to make it back to 20, and they really milked this 20 count because you thought that Ami was going to get in. Then you thought Saya was going to get in. Then you think anybody was going to get in. Then you thought that both of them were going to come in and do this like hot finish, and they wound up just getting counted out. And so I thought it was a really good falsie. They had 20 seconds to play with. Well, it's probably longer the way that the ref stretched. It was probably closer to 40, maybe even longer. But they did a great job stretching out this double count out. And I was a big fan of the way this match built. They definitely have a better match in them, and I hope it's somewhere down the line we see it. But still, I thought this was really, really good. And I had this at a solid 4 stars. Saya Kamatani finishes with 14. Ami Sori, who had to qualify for the tournament, finishes at 11. So a great tournament from both ladies. Now we really build up the drama. Blue Stars block, Mayu Iwatani, 13 points. Starlight Kid, 14 points. This is the last time these two wrestled was at the finals last year, where Starlight Kid could have had an opportunity to make it to the finals, but Mayu, the leader of her former faction Stars, stopped her in her way. And then again, these two, they both have an opportunity to make it to the finals, so who's going to stop who? These two start with some high-speed wrestling. Both of them are just so smooth as silk. They trade chops in the middle. Kid hits a standing moonsault for 2. Mayu eventually gets the advantage. She locks in the standing dragon sleeper that we've seen her beat Saya Ida earlier on in the tournament. Mayu goes for a moonsault but misses. Kid stays on. Mayu locks in the Black Tiger leg crusher. Mayu gets to the ropes. Kid eventually hits the twisting frog splash for a 2 count. Kid goes to the top rope for a moonsault. She winds up hitting it. Only gets a 2 count. And then again, Kid stays aggressive on Mayu. She goes for the tiger suplex. Mayu gets out, and she's a desperation German suplex that she can't follow up on because of just the previous damage done. Mayu tries the 2-stage dragon suplex, but Starlight Kid has had a little bit too much time to recover. She gets out of it, hits the dragon screw leg whip, right back into the leg crusher submission. Again, a big fan of Starlight Kid. She escapes a big finishing hold from her opponent, the 2-stage, and then she goes right back to the knee with the dragon screw leg crusher combination. Crowd really rallied behind Mayu. To me, this is like as cool as the spots were. This was the best part of the match because he had her in the submission, and Mayu's getting so close to the ropes, and then she gets pulled back, and then she does that spot where she puts the ankle over her opponent's neck, so it almost turns into like a choke. And Mayu just being I was on the edge of my seat. Mayu just being the best seller is waiting for the crowd to get to a certain point when she's going, she's going to get to the ropes, or is she? It looks like she's going to pass out. And they check the arm, and then she wakes up, she opens up her eyes, and then just so much drama, just getting to the ropes. It was like a 90-second spot that just built so much in this match. Oh, I thought that was just absolutely great. And then it's pretty much, they just hit the gas from here. Kid follows up with a Black Tiger pile driver for 2. Shotgun knees. Kid sets up for the Eternal Foe, but Mayu reverses and hits the top rope Hurricanrana, and then a really, really sick tombstone. She almost lost her former tag partner on that one. But you can see Mayu was as safe as she possibly could, but boy, that was close. The mask probably might have helped too, a little bit on the cushion on that. Mayu can't follow up again because of previous damage. Mayu winds up hitting the super kick dragon screw combination, dragon suplex combination for 2. Mayu goes for the moonsault, but on her way to the ropes, this is great. Because with her back turns Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid reaches up and rolls her up. I thought that was the finish. I thought that would have been a genius finish. Gets rolled up. Mayu winds up rolling back for the closest 3 count. Mayu winds up rolling through, when she kicks out, hits a head kick, nails the moonsault, but Starlight Kid kicked out. And not many people kicked out of the moonsault. Mayu then fires up with everything she has left, hits the 2-stage dragon suplex, which nobody kicks out of, for 3 count. I had this one at 5 stars, and this still might not make my top 5 or 6 list. Again, I'm going to do a top 10, maybe a top 15, but I thought just with the two of them kind of kicking out of each other's stuff and countering each other's stuff, and that whole submission thing where Mayu closed her eyes and you thought that she passed out and looked like the ref was going to call for the bell. That was a great job from Mayu, knowing when to do that certain sell, knowing where the camera was as well. Just added on so much more of a dynamic to the match. It would have been 4 3/4 stars, but because of that spot, how it drug out, and just the crowd totally getting behind Mayu, I have to bump it up a 1/4 star. This is a perfect 5 stars for me, and one of the best Starlight Kid matches I've ever seen. Just fantastic. We go to the main event of the Blue Stars block, where it's basically win or go home between the two. Julia taking on Suzu Suzuki. Julia coming in with 15, Suzu coming in with 14. The setup, the whole monitor thing, the whole I mentioned in the last two shows, that giant Titantron thing or whatever you want to call it, Rossitron, Stardomtron, it's fantastic. But this one here was like, was it on like steroids? It was just like so cool and just so much better. Suzu's entrance was awesome. Julia's entrance when she came out, I legit got chills. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I'm running on next to no sleep, and Julia's and this match just had me on, especially that last match had me on pins and needles. And Julia's entrance, I mean, this girl is just such a star. She has, whenever somebody says star power, for some reason, I go to like, where are they on the Kerry Von Erich star power? You can say whatever you want about Kerry Von Erich, but that guy had so much star power. Like when he walked into a room, didn't matter how many people in there, he took over the room. And Julia, like her star power, it's so undeniable. And you give her that entrance with that video wall, absolutely unbelievable. The two of them get in the ring, and they're supposed to have this blood feud. Julia left, Suzu behind an ice ribbon, and you can see the two of them just crying because they're going to beat the heck out of each other. And assuming that they're really, kayfabe, you take away kayfabe, they're probably really good friends behind the scene. And I'm sure Julia probably helped Suzu getting into Stardom. It's probably like one look, and Horacio God was like, yeah, we're definitely bringing her in. But obviously, they've done a great job building this match up, and the stakes really can't be any higher with a shot to go to the finals on the line, considering the fact that Julia was the pick of many people to win last year, and she got injured, and this is Suzu's first 5-star. So what a better way to stick it to her former Ice Ribbon mate than stop her on her way and then have her go to the final. Soon as they kind of get over their emotions, the crowd's electric. This is a big fight feel. Suzu really just slaps the crap out of Julia, right from the get-go. Julia uses her ground attack to cut off Suzu. Julia transitions so well into her submission. Just a big fan of how she transitions from one hold to another. They trade headbutts and suplexes. Suzu hits a sliding German suplex, but then Julia hits a top rope glorious slam for 2, and then locks in the Bianca. And Julia, mid-submission, where Suzu's her shoulder was taped up, her arm was taped up, basically does, and I talk about this all the time with Julie, it looks like she has like a catch wrestling background. It's an old catch wrestling secret, is you kind of take your point of the knuckle and you start jamming into whether it's your opponent's ribs or the injured part of the body. And she was doing that. She wasn't punching it. She was driving. If you go back and take a look, took like the main part of her middle finger and the knuckle and was driving it into Suzu's where her arms were all taped up. I thought it was great. And to me, just added so much, another dynamic just to this match. Suzu winds up getting to the ropes. Julia follows up with the Falcon Arrow for 2. Suzu counters with the tequila roll, not the tequila shot, but almost very similar to Julia's Ganosuke roll. Tequila roll for 2 count. Julia rebounds with the Shining Black and the Glorious Driver for 2, and that one was sick. She really pile drove Suzu Suzuki's head on the mat. Suzu hits a Desperation German. At this point, this crowd is just going nuts. Absolutely nuts. Suzu hits a series of kicks and then follows up with the tequila shot for 2. Then she does the Locomotion German suplexes for 2. We've seen her put away just about everybody. If it's not the Locomotion German, it's the stalling German suplex coming off the tequila shot. So they did a great job building up this finish. And folks, if you haven't seen this tournament, I know it's 20 nights. In order for you to truly appreciate this tournament, this final, you need to go back and watch every match in the tournament. And no match is bad. Every match is anywhere from good to match of the year. But the fact that Suzu, majority of her matches, she's won with a combination of the tequila shot and either the stalling German or the Locomotion 2 German suplexes. And the fact that the biggest night of the tournament, like the one that she needs to get the most, that she hits that combination and Julia kicks out like 2.999. I think a lot of people going in, even though like, well, this needs to happen, I think the booking was like, it's got to be Julia. Julia's got to be the one to win this tournament. A lot of people bid on that fall. Even I did. I thought like after she hit the 2 Germans, I thought, wow, they're putting Suzu through. The two wind up, when Julia kicks out, the two wind up brawling, fighting to the end. Time limit draw, 4 3/4 stars, giving Julia the 1 point she needs. She finishes at 16. Suzu finishes at 15. Julia wins the block. But the key here is what happened at the end. It was Suzu with the 2 German suplexes in a row. So if you're going by MMA rules and you probably want judges' scorecard, probably Suzu takes it which leads to some very interesting dynamics as we go into the end of this year and the beginning of next year, depending on who walks out of Dream Queendom with the championship belt. More on that later. And I know that we're running long on time. We're coming up on an hour. It is what it is. Before the Red Stars, but I thought this was really classy. So we're getting to start the Red Stars block. And we have a 10 bell salute for Antonio Inoki. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, but like they did it before the Red Stars block, and they showed the red towel. That's obviously Antonio Inoki's signature, the red towel. We start with the first match, Red Stars block. Match that has no bearing on the outcome, but I kind of figured these two ladies would completely take advantage of the situation. You're coming off like 3 really, really solid matches. And then, so it's like, how do you counter? So Unagi coming with 2 points, Momo Kogo at 4. Again, these ladies, we know they weren't going to have a lot of time. They took advantage of every second. These two both come out of the box like they were shot out of a cannon. No waste in motion. Momo Kogo hits the 619 on the outside, and then she goes for the springboard dropkick. Unagi dodges it, hits a big boot and a code breaker combination for 2. Momo hits the 619 springboard dropkick combo for 2. Momo then follows up with the 619 DDT. Unagi fires back up with some strikes, hits the arm capture DDT, and the thank you for your service pile driver for the 3 count, 3.5 stars. Again, we know this wasn't going to be a match that everybody was glued to their seats for just because of where they were in the standings, but these ladies took advantage of every single second. So bravo to the two of them. 3.5 stars, great way to get back into everything. We go on to the next match. Saki Kashima coming with 10 points, taking on the birthday girl, Azumi, with 14 points. So Azumi, again, has this phenomenal entrance with the video wall. Now it's a giant video wall, and she just has so much star presence, with the bright colors. So Azumi takes her robe off, and we see new gear. And I literally tweeted out, Azumi got herself new gear for her birthday. Good for her. And then I literally look up, and the match is just about over. So pretty much starts with Azumi going for the Kishi Kasai on Saki. Saki gets out of it, goes for the Azumi Sushi on Azumi. They go back and forth, and then Azumi eats the Kishi Kasai for the 3 count. So it's like, okay, I guess that's how we're eliminating Azumi here. Saki Kashima, 12 points. So it just goes to show you that in this tournament, not in this tournament Stardom, you have so many big finishers. The Peach Sunrise, the Peach Thunder, you have the Ruin, the Vermilion World, all of Julia's phenomenal finishers and submissions. Mayu's Moonsault, the two-stage Dragon, Utami's Torture Rack Bomb and Hijack Bomb. The deadliest move in all of Stardom is the Kishi Kasai. So, I see a lot of people were complaining that, here's Azumi that's a lot of people's top 10 list. I think she's like 4 on mine for all of wrestling. And there's so many more people watching this show and so many new people watching the show. We're all bragging, you got to see this Azumi. And then it's like, oh, this is what we get. But they more than made up for it for the rest of the show. It's not like it was a bad match. It wasn't even a match. I didn't even give it a rating. But it got a big pop. And here's something else, too. A lot of wrestlers get paid off the gate. So here's Azumi, a champion, going into this show. They have over 2,000 people paid, and who knows how much on pay-per-view. Azumi got probably a nice little birthday check for her birthday for doing really next to nothing. So, and again, I talked about how Azumi needs challengers for the high-speed division. And I think Saki made mention that she wants to go for the high-speed belt. So I think that's where you'll see Azumi get her win back. And it's a match that I would definitely like to see. Saki versus Azumi, high-speed cradles back and forth. Eventually, Saki wind up winning here. Okay, we move on to match number 9. Koguma coming in 12 points, going up against the former champion, Utami Hayashishita, 14 points as well. I have Utami as my Red Stars block winner, and all she really needed to do was pretty much get a win here, and she would go on forward, considering the fact that she would have the tiebreaker over Sherry. Then we had the Micah Himika as well, so that was a whole nother thing. And she had the tiebreaker over Tam. So if Utami gets a win here, it really comes down to Mike and Himika, but obviously that did not go as planned. Utami hits a Samoan drop early on, and then starts mocking the bear. Boy, Utami mocking Tam, mocking the bear. All of a sudden, Utami's not only the Red Queen, but now she's like the Queen of Comedy. Koguma uses a sunset flip drop kick that sends the Red Queen to the floor. As a high-speed genius winds up hitting a dive, Koguma winds up hitting the Koguma cutter off the top rope for 2. Koguma hits 2 German suplexes. She tries for a third, but then Utami goes all King's Road. We talked about Antonio Inoki fighting Spirit. On the other side was All Japan, All Kings Road here from Utami at the end. She hits just a disgusting Masawa-style German suplex. And then as Koguma comes up, she gets hit with a Stan Hansen lariat. A lot of people are saying Koguma was a little underwhelming in this tournament, considering the fact how consistent she's been all year. And I understand that, but this was Koguma's, might have been one of her best matches all year. This was great. She eats that sick lariat. Utami goes to put Koguma away with the hijack bomb, but she gets countered into a brutal cold red. Again, you want to talk about All Japan 90s King's Road. That was a crazy bump that Utami took on the back of her neck there. And just a perfect cradle. And she gets an upset win for 3 count. 4 stars. This match was just non-stop action. Great psychology. I thought Koguma did a great job wrapping up her tournament here as she finishes with the same points as Utami, 14. But if we're being honest about it, she wins the tiebreaker. So Koguma winds up finishing in this tournament ahead of the 2020 winner. Okay, moving on. Match number 10. Saki from... we have a Grim Reaper that comes out, attacks Utami. Turns out it's Natsuko Tora from Oedo Tai. She had her last match was 16 months ago. Blew out her knee against Utami. So I believe that looks like where it's going. Tora's coming back for revenge on Utami. So this way it'll give Utami something to do between now and either the end of the year or the beginning of next year. And that match, I've reviewed it for the White Belt and Red Belt tier Patreon members. I didn't give it a rating because obviously Tora got injured, but that match is really going along really, really strong. So interesting to see how Tora is going to be. I believe she's coming back in Tag League first, so that'll be a good way to get the ring rust off. But obviously that's where they're going. They're going to go to a big Utami-Tora match, and then hopefully that leads to Utami versus Momo, as we've been waiting 10 months for that match. We go to the Battle of Cosmic Angels. Saki coming up 10 points, taking on Tam Nakano with 14 points. Tam hits a running rope knee shot for 2. That sends Saki to the outside. 2 of them wind up going back and forth. Tam goes to the top rope. Saki hits the superplex, but Tam fires up with a spin kick, and then Saki fires up with the Michinoku driver. Saki hits the pump handle power bomb, and the way she does that with a thud is just fantastic. She goes for the bomb scare, double knee drop from the top rope, misses. Tam hits the violent shooting, and then the 2 of them have a forearm fest in the middle of the ring. Tam escapes the Wild Buster and hits a pair of kicks, and then not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 violent shootings, has her stablemate on the ropes, and then Tam puts Saki away with the violent screwdriver, 3 3/4 stars. And that will take Tam up to 16 points. So, depending on the outcome of what will happen these next 2 matches, how many tiebreakers we're going to get and whatnot. Obviously, Shiri has the tiebreaker advantage over Tam going into with the main event of the Red Stars block. So, a match that a lot of people were looking forward to, the first ever singles match between one of my favorite tag teams in all of wrestling. Maika, 14 points. Himeka, 14 points. Starts out with a quick shoulder tackles back and forth. Maika winds up slowing Himeka down by locking the rear naked choke. They wind up going to the floor, and these 2 just throw some stiff and brutal forearms onto each other. I hope they brought each other steak and a beer, as we all know that Maika is a big drinker after this one, because they were really laying into each other. They wind up trading standing suplexes and belly-to-back suplexes on the floor. So many lariats. Himeka hits the JP coaster for 2. Himeka, for some reason, goes to the top rope. I'm like, well, I know what this is setting up for, but what's the psychology? Why are you going to the top rope? What was Himeka going to hit, a 450? She gets cut off, brutal headbutt exchange onto the 2, and then Maika hits the stalling superplex, C.W. Anderson style, onto Himeka. What a great spot. Maika follows up with a big lariat for 2. Himeka fires back, hits the Rainmaker. Here, as we get a double down, as a crowd is really investing in this match. Maika comes back with the Buzz Sawyer Power Slam, and then hits the sit-out Power Slam for 2. Himeka escapes the second superplex, and she flips out and hits the concussion bomb. And then she comes off the ropes going for a clothesline. Maika hits a desperation Michinoku driver. Eventually, when she goes for the pinfall, because she gave up too much time, only gets 2. 2 of them go back and forth, and they wind up dropping each other with brutal forearms. A lot of people thought this was going to go to the time limit draw, but this was smart to do something a little bit different, because we already had a double count out in this show. We already had a time limit draw in this show, so we get a double KO. I thought that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. 4 3/4 stars. We move on to and they both finish with 15 points. So pending on the result of the main event, so we have Sherry, the World of Stardom champion, going in with 14 points, taking on Risa Sera, coming in with 13 points. This was a rematch from their World of Stardom championship match just a few months ago at Flashing Champions. I believe it was Flashing Champions. Anywho, obviously this is not for the World of Stardom championship. Sherry goes right to the ground game. Risa does a good job hanging with her. Risa winds up getting hold of Sherry's legs, hits the giant swing, and then sets up Sherry for the Vader Bomb double knees, but she misses, and then Sherry takes full advantage. Full fighting spirit on display as these two just wind up kicking the crap out of each other, stomping each other on the heads, kicking each other in the face, kicking each other in the midsection, just brutal strikes back and forth. And then they wind up, after they get sick of that, they wind up throwing each other with some brutal suplexes. Eventually, Risa Sera gets the advantage. She hits an air raid crash and some big kickks, and she locks in a rear naked choke onto Sherry as Sherry tries to get out. Risa Sera, she doesn't stay at the party too long as she switches that into the sit-out DVD for a 2 count, and then she follows up with the diving double knees. Again, she's won so many matches in this tournament with it. Really good falsie there. Sherry winds up kicking out. Sherry finds an opening, locks in the double wrist lock. This was like my favorite part of the match. Double wrist lock, and then she transitions to the straight armbar. And as Risa Sera is trying to get out of the straight armbar, Sherry transitions into the triangle choke. I thought that was great. As soon as Risa gets the ropes, the champ stays aggressive and pulls her off. She gets a bunch of Muay Thai knees, and then back into the armbar she goes. Risa is so close to tapping. She winds up shifting her weight. It looked like she was trying to pick her up for an air raid crash, but kind of collapsed. So I wasn't sure if she was going for the air raid crash or she was just trying to shift her weight. Regardless, a little hiccup there, but she winds up holding the champion down for the win. I love that finish. As soon as Risa Sera, as soon as Risa hits the double knees, almost gets the win. Sherry finally finds an opening, uses all of her submissions, and it looked like Risa was going to tap out, sending Sherry to the finals. I really thought that's where they were going. I bit so hard on it, and eventually all it takes is 3 seconds, and she gets the cradle win there. I like this match. I might be in the minority. I like this match better than the championship match, just because you kind of didn't know which way they were going to go with this. I had this 4.5 stars. Absolutely love this. Okay, folks, I know we're running long, but it's like a lot to review. Final match, blue block winner, Julia versus the red block winner, Tam Nakano. A lot of people had this predicted as the finish. I think in our contest, I think a lot of people, the majority of people had this as the finish or as the finals. So I will, again, sometime probably over the next few days, I will go through all the Patreon, the lovely Patreon listeners, just to see who had this one and then who had for the most points. And then I'll probably announce in a few days who will get the lithograph, the copy lithograph with Natsupoi, Mirai, Hazuki, and Koguma on it. Again, it was predictable, but very much this is the way they needed to go. The way that I kind of brought this up to everybody, longtime wrestling fans. In the beginning of 1998, everybody knew that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to win the Royal Rumble and beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, regardless of Shawn's back injury. That's just the way they needed to go to further the company. So this is kind of the way that they need to go here. First of all, how about speaking of WrestleMania, these WrestleMania style entrances where they opened up the middle of that giant Titantron and both ladies came down off a podium. Unbelievable. No time is wasted between these two rivals as Julia backdrop drivers Tam right out the get-go. Tam fires up, hits Julia with a brutal spin kick. If you have listened to the Julia Wonder of Stardom Championship reign, that spin kick has cut Julia open on more than one occasion. Julia hits a running Yakuza kick and locks in the Bianca as Julia goes after Tam's bad arm that's all wrapped up. Tam hits the running knee onto the ropes and a big dive to the outside. Tam winds up hitting a second rope tiger suplex. That was just brutal. Tam goes back to the top rope. It gets cut off to Julia's fantastic top rope butterfly suplex. Tam rebounds with the tiger driver. Again, spirit of Antonio Inoki was definitely felt in this building. Lots of fighting spirit here. This crowd is absolutely electric. We're 13 matches in, over 4 hours in the show, and this crowd is going nuts. We have a stalemate as the two trade at the seated Arisa Hoshinki style kicks back and forth. Julia winds up locking in a knee bar, and while she's locking the knee bar, she starts kicking Tam's face. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And then Tam winds up kicking back. Tam gets the ropes. The two of them trading blows on the outside. Julia tries the glorious driver on the apron. The two of them spill out to the floor. Don't know if that was supposed to happen, but to me, it added to the match. Eventually, Julia takes Tam up to the ramp. Two of them go back and forth. Julia hits a violent, or excuse me, Tam hits a violent shooting on the outside. And then the two of them, she hits a violent shooting on the outside, and then they go to the ramp. And then Tam winds up hitting a DDT, just like a reverse DDT as she was going for the Glorious Driver, very much like she did at the Budokan Hall, where Julia went for the Glorious Driver and Tam hits the reverse DDT. She hits this one on top of the ramp. I thought that was a great callback to their match last year back in March. And then a lot of people channeling the Great Muta. The Great Muta, a lot of times back in the day at the Tokyo Dome, would do that full sprint on the ramp. That's what Tam does, as she does like a 50-yard dash into the violent shooting. I thought that was great. Tam goes to pick Julia up, but Julia reverses. It's a DDT on the ramp. Back they go. Back to the ring they go as they hit some brutal slaps. I mean, just laying into each other. Again, very reminiscent to their legendary Budokan Hall match last year, and then followed up by some sick headbutts. Julia hits a pump hand. I mean, this work just goes next level. This work goes all This work goes all Kings Road. It goes all Tam Road. It goes all Julia Road. It goes all fighting spirit here. Julia hits a pump handle backdrop driver. I mean, she dropped it right on her neck. Only gets a 1 count. Tam comes back with Tiger Suplex. Only gets a 1 count. Tam picks Julia up and just pile drives Julia with her own hold. The Glorious Driver for 1. Julia fires up. She hits the most disgusting... I have there, not a violent screwdriver. This is like a Steiner screwdriver. I mean, this is just brutal. Tam kicks out at 1. Julia follows up. She hits the Glorious Driver for 2, and then quickly picks Tam up and just pile drivers poor Tam's head into the mat with just disgusting Northern Lights bomb for 3. I mean, this is easily 5 stars. If you want to break the Meltzer rating on it because of just how important this match was, you sure can. You can give it 5.25 stars. This was absolutely just fantastic. I said last year, the finals of last year's with Sherry and Momo was just because of the brutality and just how important the match was my favorite 5-star match ever. This one is close too. I mean, I really need to sit down and really write this stuff out. But this was just great, from start to finish, just a sense of urgency. Both these ladies had really good matches and really brutal matches beforehand. And just for that finish, Tiger Suplex for 1, Tiger Driver for 1, and then they're trading each other's finishers. And then Julia finally hitting the Glorious Driver that she tried to hit on the apron. She tried to hit in the ring. She tried to hit on the ramp, just couldn't do it. She finally hits it here, and then when Tam kicks out, instead of getting frustrated, she goes back to the Northern Lights bomb, a move that she uses very sparingly, and it's one of the most disgusting Northern Lights bomb I've ever seen. She gets the 3 count, and Julia wins the 5-star. Not much of a surprise, but just a phenomenal show. Again, this is where they absolutely need to go. Over 200. This company's grown over 200% in revenue and ticket sales and revenue in the last year or so. So it's like, how do you keep that train up? I mean, this Julia, she's just such a star. I mean, there's so many stars in this company, but she's the next big thing. She really, really is. Not only that, and I'll go through this quickly. Now Julia says that at the end of the year, at Dream Kingdom, she wants to wrestle and beat Sherry for the red belt. That's obviously where they're going. We got about 2.5 months, well, closer to 3 months till we get there. I'm not sure if Julia's going to be like defending the briefcase, kind of like how Sherry did, or kind of how like New Japan does from time to time on the road to the big final show. Sherry's going to be having some title matches, obviously, to get there, but that's obviously the match they want to go with. And if Julia has to defend the briefcase or the the crown of the robe or whatever, or after she wins the belt, because I think it's just an absolute lock, you have to put the belt on Julia. I mean, Sherry's having an all-time reign, but I think you don't want to wear it out too long. You want to leave the party at the right time, because you can always go back and put the belt on Sherry, just as they can always go back and put the belt on Utami or Mayu, just because I don't think they wore out their title reigns. But I think, you already have ready-made matches with Julia, just from this tournament. She lost to Mirai. Who doesn't want to see Julia versus Mirai? She lost to Hazuki. Who doesn't want to see that match? She drew with Mayu. She drew with Suzuki. And she lost to Momo. So you already have 5 matches right there, whether you do it on the road to Dream Queendom or you do it after Julia wins the red belt. You have 5 ready-made matches there. Not only that, you can always build Tam back up. And you could always build Starlight Kid back up, because those are 2 matches that I'm sure everybody, definitely wants to see. And then obviously Risa Sarah as well. She's in the same clan as Suzuki. So So that's a match you can go to. I mean, you already have between now and the end of next spring 7 or 8 really good Julia singles matches. So, folks, I'm going to put a pin in it. Like I said, we're about an hour 20 here. Before I put a pin in it, again, this is probably, thank Sean. Sean's the man. Sean, thank you so much for just getting these shows up. Again, I'm recording this Saturday. I'm going to upload this. This will be in your feeds probably Sunday or Monday. You are still going to get a Friday show. Friday's show will be a complete review of the 5-star Grand Prix. I'm going to be going through everybody that was in the tournament and giving them a letter grade from an A+ to an F-. I'll be going through my 5 favorite shows, my 10 favorite matches, and my 10 favorite performers. And here's the surprise, folks. I will not be doing this alone. I will be having a special guest. I will not, you can let the speculation begin. I will not tell you who the special guest is. It's not Mayu Iwatani or Ratsuo Gawa. So it's not anybody huge, but it's somebody that I'm sure that you fine folks of the Stardom cast will absolutely love and enjoy. Speaking of love and enjoy, I love and enjoy each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all the podcasts that are coming your way. It seems that everybody just seems to be enjoying all the content that I'm putting out. So yeah, I've talked way too long. I'm just going to end the show. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thanks for all the comments. Again, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. What were your favorite matches? What did you think of the show? To me, this was the best wrestling show I've seen all year, and I've seen a lot of them. Let me know what matches you guys enjoyed. Let me know what matches that you thought nobody's really talking about that you thought that was fantastic. Hit me up, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter are the 2 best ways to get a hold of me. But yeah, that's about it for me, folks. Thank you all so much. I'm really looking forward to dropping another podcast that will be in your feeds on Friday. A complete 5-star review, the year 2022. But that's it, guys. And just remember, because this isn't just my podcast, it's our podcast, because we're all in this together, because everybody's different, everybody's special. Have yourself a great day, guys. Bye-bye.